Hello and welcome to part 18 of my Let's Play of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. When last we left, we had successfully saved two members of the Heron clan, and we were able to patch the relationship between the bird tribe and Binyan as well. Ike was then put in charge of leading the retainer soldiers provided by Binyan to help regain and defeat Ashnard. And in doing so, Ike leveled up to his second tier class, and we got a host of new characters in our dialogue. Before I get into that, for this particular map, there are a few characters that you're going to want to keep in. Rolf is a member that you want to include in this map. For purposes we'll get to later on. But as for the new classes, we've got 4 new characters. We got 2 members of the bird tribe, which really they only serve one purpose, and we'll get to that in the next map. Other than that, they're really nothing all that great. They're not bad to use or level. Actually, they can both be pretty valuable or some pretty powerful units. So if you're looking to fill in your roster for the ones that you want to choose, or you want some more Laguz in there, or you want a Laguz in there, if you want to switch out Leith with one of them, that's fine as well. The next is you get Teneth, another Pegasus Knight from Binyan, and she serves a unique purpose. I don't personally like the Pegasus Knights in this particular edition of the game, but it's not wrong or horrible to use them. They're just, how should I put it? They just seem to be weak with everything, and it takes a lot of time and effort to build them up to anything great. So, you know, if you weren't leveling up Jill or Marcia at this go around, I would recommend choosing one unit, one flying unit, no matter who you choose. That would be quite beneficial to have on the field, just the maneuverability and able to do stuff like that. So if you haven't chosen one, she's not a bad one to choose, but by now you should already have your favorites, and there's an even better one than her that you're going to get later on, so don't worry so much about it. She does have a special ability that we'll be taking advantage of in a couple of maps. But other than that, she's going to be probably another bench character. Marcia is actually, when you level her up, she's better than Teneth anyway. So, and the last one that we get is we get Rayson, the Heron, as a unit that we can control. His shtick is the ability to allow your character or characters to have another go per turn. He can play a song when next to or when selected to a unit or whatever, and your unit will get a second move during that turn. He is a Laguz, so when he does transform, he can actually do more than just one player per go. So he's definitely a unit that you're going to want to keep with. He doesn't attack, and he's incredibly weak. So he's definitely a squishy character to look after. but he is indeed one of those characters that you're going to want to use a lot. Being able to move your character twice is actually somewhat of an advantage. Now, on the really hard difficulty settings, or actually even in reverse, in the really easy settings, he's probably not that important. You know, being able to reactivate 4 characters at one time is actually honestly pretty good, but you know, most of the time with him only being able to reactivate 1 at a time, an argument can be made for actually substituting him with another kick-butt character, and you'll get the same effect, and you'll have 1 less squishy character to worry about. So, you know, there's things like that. He comes with some other abilities and advantages that come in handy. But, you know, he's definitely... I use him a lot. You know, he comes in... He comes in handy quite a bit, so... he's not as important, should I say, as I think the game tries to make him out to be. And with that, we will start off the map. We also have Volk on our side, just for some of the chests. Just to get, there's really not a whole lot in the way of stealing here. I think some of the birds have coins, but the coins are quite useless in this game. But for the chests, you know, he's there for that. If you got keys for the chest, then you know, feel free to kind of separate him out for that. There isn't any doors or anything else like that, so that kind of can come in a little handy. And I kind of split the group up a little bit. I set Jill out to deal with those other wyverns that are coming into the side. If she's promoted, she can easily handle what comes her way over there. So you don't have to worry about doubling up quite yet. And speaking of the wyverns, you know, I've been PM'd and stuff quite a bit with people with questions and stuff with the wyverns, like why I did one way or the other, or whatnot. I know that there is it changes quite a bit in Radiant Dawn. And I've got there's another map that actually kind of illustrates the particular class a little bit more. I think we're 2 maps away from that. But when it comes to like the weaknesses and stuff of the wyverns in particular, yes, they do have a somewhat weakness to the archers. I just found them not to be nearly as big of an issue as the other flying units. You know, most of the time the archers will do just about as much damage against any other unit as they do against the wyverns. Now, I know that it is reduced quite a bit in Radiant Dawn, but in this particular instance, the weakness to the archers just isn't any better than, say, Mia or whatever, you know. Obviously a higher level archer is going to do a bit more damage to your units than the lower, and you still have that to kind of deal with, but it isn't a worry, should I say, as it is if, say, you were the Pegasus Knight, you know, or a Raven even. Those are very weak against the archers. So there's that, and then the other weakness that I mentioned in some of the previous issues that seemed to create a lot of comments and stuff to that is when it comes to the magic. Yes, the thunder, the units are weaker to thunder in Radiant Dawn than it is in this instance, or in this game. However, if you looked at the one-on-one damage, thunder is going to do more damage to your unit than the fire or the wind. Now, a lot of that can be contributed to the fact that thunder magic and lightning or whatever is incredibly overpowered in this game. You know, you have it has a higher chance of a critical hit than most of the other magic classes. So you kind of have that as a little bit of a worry. And it just generally does more damage. Again, in one of the upcoming maps, there's more wyverns around, so I can actually show some of the differences with the unit. But you know, from a damage perspective, the thunder spells generally do more damage. Now, obviously, it depends greatly on the level of the caster and the level of the thunder class. But from 1 to 1, it has a pretty high chance of doing damage. In addition to that, your wyverns generally have a pretty low resistance when it comes to magic. Generally in the upper 20s, mid to upper 20s, which isn't very high. So you have that to worry about as well. But you know, if you look at it from a one-on-one standpoint, generally your Thunder's going to do more damage against that class. Again, I know it's taken to a far bigger extreme in Radiant Dawn, but it is still a weakness to them here. Pegasus Knights are a little different. Your Pegasus Knights are susceptible generally to wind, and dark magic, I believe, is another one of their weaknesses. Not that that makes too big of a difference in this particular game. But they generally have a higher resistance to magic as well than your wyvern. So it's kind of you know, different mileage. Like if you're not on the fixed leveling system, then your stats are going to go up differently than what I'm doing under the fixed mode. So it could be a far lower resistance, and at that case, it's kind of hard to determine what the unit is weak against, simply because it's going to be weak against everything, and it's going to be more dependent on the skill of the attacker than the than anything else. So it's still a weak deal. So I'll address it more, and I'll actually have more of a, should I say, proof of it in one of the upcoming maps. But at least from my experience under the fixed mode, that just happens to be the case. Now, as far as this map goes, There's a couple of things to worry about. You've got a couple of mages here that have long-range spells that can get quite annoying. Generally, most of your units are going to be pretty safe against them, with the exception of Gatry. He's the only one that's going to get hurt majorly between them, and of course the Thunder one for the Wyverns. But generally, your classes are pretty resilient at this point, that you don't have to worry about it too much. In fact, it's going to be generally it's a bit of a challenge to get them to do what they need to do, or to kind of fish them from the skills, because the enemy AI won't generally attack someone that has a high resistance to magic. So you kind of have to play it a little smart to kind of avoid that as a problem. The second thing is you have our old friend Shinon back in this map, that we can recruit him back into our fold, and that was the reason for Rolf. And so we don't want to be rushing the map either. There's a specific order that you have to handle things in order to get him back, so you don't want to really mess that up. In the same light, you got to protect from all these distance magic users. So that's really the only challenge of the map. The boss and the units really aren't anything overly special or to worry about. So that's really the only concern, is to watch out for the magic and to get your recruited member back. Now, you can, if you play this smart, this map smart, you can go the extra mile and steal a lot of these ranged magic scrolls so that you can use them later on. The trick deal with it is kind of more effort than it's worth. There is some instances where it could come in handy to actually use the ranged spells yourself. I just never quite found it. Generally, it evolves around kicking off dialogue between certain units without actually having to endanger the units of being close to the attack. Other than that, the damage is way lower than the damage that they do to you, and the effort that it takes to actually steal them is just not worth it, especially when the scrolls only have like 5 uses each, or generally so. But if you do want to get them, kind of the best way to do it is you're going to want to sort of surround the mages and force them to switch to their close range, and then you can come in and steal it. That's generally the best option to do. But again, I don't think the effort is worth the reward in this particular case. Now, the other thing that I got a few comments on, and I kind of want to address, and I'll probably do it more in a later map, has to do with archers. I do think that there isn't a overly bad archer character in this game. I have even played a few. I've played through the game a few times with actually having Boyd and Oscar as archers, and they actually do a pretty good job of it as well. My beef, should I say, with the archers in this particular game is the fact that they seem almost useless. And that they don't really have a clear advantage. They do extra damage against ravens, and yes, they do extra damage against the Pegasus Knights, but you don't really fight the Pegasus Knights in this game, and there's really not enough ravens to be all that concerned with that advantage. Everything else, if you can't score a double shot hit on your character, then you're not going to do a whole lot. You kind of lose somewhat of the advantage. And I find in this game the chances of your archers to actually get a critical hit is far less than in other games as well, even with a killer bow and all that other stuff. Now, later on, you do get some decent bows, like the double shot, which basically allows you to get 4 shots in a go. And stuff like that, but it really, they're more hassle than they're worth. A well-trained mounted unit or soldier with a short axe or a spear or javelin or whatever can do just about as much damage as your archers can. And you don't have to worry about the squishiness of the character or the fact that they can't fight back when an enemy is attacking them at closer range. So that's kind of where I stand on the archers. Again, they're not bad. Aster is a great character for an archer. Roof would be a far better character if you got him earlier in the game. But as it stands, especially on the harder difficulty settings, it'll either take a lot of bench XP or a lot of actual overuse of the character in order to get them leveled up to anything all that great. The Roof's speed is horrible starting off. When his max speed is pretty good, but he's horrible starting off. And if you're playing this on a random level up or level up, then it would be a challenge. You can spend a lot of time leveling him up legitly or even on the bench and still be gypped on the performance of the character, because until he gets that speed up, his chances of getting double hits are actually pretty low. He's got other things like luck and resistance and all that stuff that actually still make him not a complete waste of time. It's just he requires special treatment in order to get him up and going. Again, if he was something that you got earlier on, I think you get him like at chapter 8. That would give you time to level him up properly and do things like that. As it stands, especially when you get him, you already have a full roster of characters that are better than him, and unless you use a bunch of bench XP, which is a waste, especially in hard mode, the bench XP is there to kind of help you out. If you're going to use it to artificially level a character, then you're robbing, the need of using it later on. So, again, one of the joys of this game is being able to do what you want to do and with characters who you want to do it. You can kind of do all that, but that's just kind of how I view the archers. Speaking of which, here we have Shinon. Now, he will come and attack, obviously, so a good person to bait, especially if you got those mages out of the way, is Gatry here. Mainly because he's not going to take nearly as much damage on the attack versus some of your other units, and it will pull him away from the mages and stuff. Apparently not all the mages, but still. Anyway, in order to get Shinon back, basically you have to first talk to him with Rolf. And you basically find out that it was Shinon that has been training Rolf. And then after that, all you have to do is attack him with Ike. Don't worry, even if you kill him, he's not going to die. You just have to beat him with Ike. Which should be pretty easy at this point. that brave bow is another one that you can. That's actually that you saw with that he when he attacked Gatry there that he got 4 hits in. So I may be mistaking about the double bow. I was pretty sure that was in this game. It may not be. But those bows are what actually make them a little bit more. I mean, that's what makes the archers really great in this game is those 4 hits. Obviously, that actually creates a lot of damage. Thing is those are rare. You can't really, you can't really purchase them or anything else like that. So it's kind of a toss-up. And I will go ahead and leave you to the rest of the map. With the death of this mage, that's really the last big challenge. Your main boss also has that tornado deal, but he's really not a threat. He can do some pretty decent damage, but if you play it smart and just don't attack him with Gatry, you're in pretty good shape. And other than that, that's really all that you have to worry about. So, I will leave you to the rest of it, and as always, thanks for watching. God bless.
You